Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chief Architect Forum News. I'm Kevin Donovan, and with me, as always, Bryce Ominski. How you doing, Bryce?
I'm doing great, Kevin. And for today's news segment, I have one thing to say to you: Gnorts, Mr. Alien.
Gnorts,
So
Mr. Alien.
yeah, so I mean, this is a story that we started talking about, I think, a few days ago. We got a lot more detail on it, and we've used it to exercise the new ChatGPT research capability. Um, and so Gnorts, Mr. Alien is Neil Armstrong backwards. And that's really appropriate. Like you sent the note about the recent Lunar data center. Is that for this isn't Ancient Aliens. This is like the CAF news, right? Just want to check.
True story. First data center on the moon. So now there's, data centers, there's cloud computing, now there's lunar computing.
It's a whole new thing. This is going to be an exciting session. So as we went into this, what we wanted to delve into were two things. We wanted to understand what the ChatGPT research capabilities are. And so what we've asked ChatGPT to produce for us is essentially a PowerPoint, and that's what it did. It gave us a downloadable PowerPoint, and we're sharing that with you now. We're gonna talk to some of the key points here as we go through this, and as we go into this data center on the moon. I think can you see my screen there, Kevin? Just want to make sure people
Yes.
have it.
Yeah, Lone Star Luna Data Center.
Yeah, and this is all related. It's the Lone Star Lunar Data Center, and of course, in the news recently was the Blue Ghost, from Firefly Aerospace in Texas. So the Blue Ghost lander can actually held a lot of the lunar components for this, right? And ultimately, what it's going to be doing is building a 4G data center on the moon that we're able to use for lunar benefit, so that if astronauts go up there and they need a 4G data center, they have it. We also have an ultra secure data center. But what does this really mean right now? There's going to the moon it's not just a small thing right now. This is actually probably the first step for a lunar colony, getting it ready. This is also likely preparation for an upcoming NASA mission to be able to leverage the 4G network. So now you can actually store data, do things with data, and you don't need to round trip it to Earth, necessarily, right? Like you still have a little link to do that. Also, what we can do, let's just sort of start off, and there's a lot here. Let's start with the PowerPoint. So this is the ChatGPT PowerPoint. We asked it to provide an analysis of the situation, and also to look at what does this mean from a data architecture point of view, as well as the CLPS, the commercialization lunar CLPS. I can't remember what that stands for. It's really the lunar commercialization program, whatever it stands for, and it's probably ChatGPT probably has that for us. So why would we want a lunar center? So it's Lone Star Data Holdings is the first off-Earth data center, which is really cool. The first thing which is cool is it provides extreme physical security.
Yeah.
I guess you're not going to have anybody break into it. You've got data sovereignty. You're completely free of earthbound regulations, even if there's a few that hit the Antarctica. There we have it. The Commercial Lunar Payload Services Program, CLPS. It caught it. That's pretty amazing.
There you go.
And it was deployed through the recent Blue Ghost mission and through Firefly Aerospace. So we've got the first slide. It captured this information. I'm actually pretty impressed. What are the security advantages of a lunar data center? Well, it's going to be hard to get physical access. I would say it's impossible. We might have like nation states that want to get it. Like I could see somebody like, the Chinese government, coming in saying we want it, or, not to pick on them. I apologize. I didn't want to pick on the Chinese government there. It might be, it could be like a hacker mill somewhere, that have lots of money maybe. The data sovereignty, disaster resilience. This is a big one. Some data centers require extreme protection from cyber threats and the ability to recover in the event of a world disaster that would actually like blow out a region. I think this is the ultimate in recoverability. Like, forget going to another data zone. This is if the asteroid destroys the Earth, your data is safe. I don't quite know what it means today, but in a few years, that could be pretty big, right?
Yeah.
And all the data is secure. So apparently the round trip of about 1.4 seconds, I believe, for the data or something like that, is
1.4
gives
seconds. Okay.
is it 1.4 seconds or is it millisecond? That seems like a long time, doesn't it? 1.4, now that I say it like
I
that,
don't
right?
know. I mean, it's, 380 some thousand miles away, or kilometers, I guess, kilometers away. So,
But it gives them time to do a full encryption both ways. Like it actually works to your benefit, like because it's an asynchronous type of link, right? Wow, I would love to be doing the quality attributes on designing that data center. That would be really cool, right? Like that is. Um, we also have compliance. This came up with compliance against existing security frameworks. And this is really interesting. The whole data center is built on zero trust so that you can't plug something in that will bring it down. Like you could obviously see on the moon, if it does go down, that would be very bad. So every component has to be authenticated when it comes in so that there's zero trust. And it actually meets FedRAMP compliance, which is kind of cool, kind of hard to do. But it makes sense. Again, you want to make sure that nothing is going to bring this down. So it's probably the most secure network that I think we know of at this point. Outside of quantum guarantees, and I don't think it has that yet, but who knows, right? And this just provides a little bit of some of the challenges. That's interesting. I never did a project yet where I had to worry about meteorites or dust. And this is actually interesting. The dust part is really interesting on the moon. You actually get like little bits of dust on the moon because of the electric fields, not because of there's no atmosphere, of course. So what happens? The electric field moves little dust particles around.
Huh.
And it's a problem. It's a huge problem, and so you have to enclose all your hardware and stuff. And it's actually interesting. I did many years ago a science fair project on this, and of course I was actually ridiculed at the time. It was like, "There's no dust on the moon." They thought I was a crazy science fair kid, but there is dust on the moon. It's finally I get to say it. I am vindicated after 50 years. Yeah. So what do you think of the quality of all this? There's a lot here. What are your thoughts, Kevin? I've just sort of taken over for a bit. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, this, I mean, just on the ChatGPT side of things, are you paying $20 a month, the 200 a month, 2000? Where are we at? Because I don't think it spits out PowerPoints for me, even though
No, the
the
secret
markdown
is
didn't quite translate, but
no. You got to call up Sam Altman. You got to explain that you're his buddy if he doesn't know you, and you send him a coffee card, and he'll send you the special membership. That's just kidding. It's the only way to get in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what to think about the first data center on the moon? I guess in some ways I wonder if it wouldn't or shouldn't have happened before. And is it the first in space? Likely not, of course. International Space Station, I'm sure, should qualify. But yeah, a lunar data center. I mean, the ultimate cold storage. Very cold, I would guess.
And to that point, there's actually with this PowerPoint, this is just the summary PowerPoint from a fairly long report that we generated. It took about half an hour for me to generate the full report.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it did actually mention the International Space Station and their data center components that are part of that. Yeah. So the full report is available, by the way, if anybody wants in the message, or inbox us. I can share the full report with you. And just make sure you provide your credit card. No, I'm kidding. It's free. It's free.
This is a lead magnet. Like and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button, and Bryce sends you the lunar data center.
Do we have a subscribe button on LinkedIn?
Well, no, on YouTube, I would have to think. Right?
Okay, but if you message me or send something to my inbox or make a comment on the video, we'll send you, and you want the report, just say something like, "I'd like the report," and I will send it to you. I like to have these sorts of discussions, so there's a lot more information. I found this very exciting, this whole exercise. To me, it's really exciting as an IT architect to be going beyond the terrestrial, right? And I I actually never thought, the day that we would actually be supporting a lunar colony and doing the first steps, I think is really huge. Of
Yeah.
course, there's a lot of people that are going to question the benefits. I think they're there. Um, let's move on to our next story, Kevin. That's a lot on the lunar story. Maybe if people want us to go into a special on it too, we can do that. Just again, message below. Let us know that you're interested. And there's a lot more we can do on this with you. So the other
It's going to be
story,
perfect for storing your, Bitcoin wallet seed phrases. So send those to us as well, and we'll send you the report.
absolutely. It's funny you should say that. There's a gentleman somewhere in the US, and I remember this story, and he threw out a hard drive by accident that had, I think, something like a crazy amount, like 100 million
England.
or something.
I believe
it was in England.
He's in England, yeah. Yeah,
And
horrendous.
at least
story.
here, he could say, look at my Bitcoin's on the moon. I can go and get it now. I don't have to spend time in a garbage dump.
It would have been easier for him to get to the moon than to find it in that, in that garbage dump, apparently. Yeah, incredibly sad.
Second story, Taiwan manufacturing moving their second world facility. They're building it in the United States, 100 billion. I'm sounding cheap when I said that. $100 billion.
Yes. Yeah.
Commitment to the U.S. to build a chip fabrication plant.
Right.
I think this is absolutely essential to second source the AI chip source, like to do that. Right now, I think that the Taiwan Semiconductors is vulnerable to all sorts of things like geopolitical events and stuff.
Yeah.
What does this mean to the commitment to chip design and manufacturing in the U.S.? Do you think this is as huge as it looks?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, they made a smaller commitment, and then this, like, I don't know if it doubled it, but that around that magnitude. And yeah, you got to think this isn't just business. I mean, of course, the America First angle, all those people are going to love it, but it does feel like it's a bit of a geopolitical power play. It'll reshape chip flows globally. Will it shift innovation? Will knowledge and know-how move? I don't really know. Building a fab is easier than building knowledge and talent. So yeah, if U.S. manufacturing is still kind of lacking the deep expertise that they've built up, it'd be interesting to see if they start moving some of that over, which, of course, given their location and the prevailing winds, may be a really smart move. Yeah, interesting. We talked about data sovereignty in the last one being, going lunar. This is more silicon sovereignty. I don't know. It's
and silicon, and that really, I think, brings us to this third interesting question. We're going to leave on a question, I think, today. But if you look at the United States policy, and whether you like him or not, what the Donald is doing right now, a lot of his actions seem to definitely be focused around technology superiority for the United States. It's like we want to have the chips here. You could even look at his, discussions with Mr. Zelensky. He wants to get the rare earths that he needs guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a peacemaker, whether or not he's a peacemaker. He's definitely going after these rare earths that are hard to get, and a lot of other things that are happening that I think are going to drive, U.S. superiority in the technology space. Or at least that's the hope, even down to tariffs, which are, being in Canada right now, they're pretty big on everybody's mind.
They are.
And I mean, there's a lot here, and I don't know. I mean, if anybody's interested, we could do a more detailed analysis, I guess. But I think the real question is how serious. I think a lot of people don't really understand his negotiating, like what he's going for. And my argument is he's going for technology superiority, period. That everything that I see in his negotiations, that it's behind everything. Now, maybe the Panama Canal might not be included in that one.
Not quite. And I'm thinking, of course, sitting here in Denmark, I'm thinking Greenland. But I mean, there's
just hold it. Isn't there Chinese mining operations that are trying to start in Greenland right now? that are
Oh, I don't
actually
even know. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're starting to harvest some
certainly
of the rare
possible.
minerals. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly possible. Yeah, yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I wonder how much of this I didn't hear this last time around from Donald Trump. I wonder if this is an influence of JD Vance being a VC with ties to Silicon Valley and all
Interesting.
of Donald's new friends who love deregulation. Yeah, that could be where the whisper in the ear is coming from.
Or
Um,
even Elon, that's
oh well, yeah, sure. I mean,
I mean he's had meetings recently.
Musk,
Of course, Elon Musk,
Bezos,
right? Yeah.
Zuckerberg, all of them kind of,
Jensen
hey,
Huang, big discussion there, right? So this is
uh,
sort of, I think, going to set the groundwork for a lot of the changes that we're going to see. It will be interesting. I don't think at this point I would stop betting on the Magnificent Seven stocks. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff that's going to pave the way for them going forward as disruptive
oh yeah,
technologies.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that's, part of the push for deregulation, of course, make things faster and easier to get done and don't worry so much about how it gets done. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see if if this becomes a golden age of onshoring for semiconductor manufacturing. Um, can the US ramp up the talent and the infrastructure? Um, Very possible.
You certainly need a
And
lot of
probably,
people until you have artificial people in the place, I guess. So there's going to be a short-term demand, right? Uh,
yeah, yeah,
Great discussion, Kevin. Let's please everybody message below. Let us know if you have any comments. We'd love to hear from you or any topics that you'd like us to cover. Thank you so much, everyone. Kevin, again, wonderful discussion. We'll talk soon.
Great. Thanks, Bryce. See you, everybody.